All right, guys, the purpose of this video is to kind of go through some of these problems for the quiz that's going to be on Friday, so that if you do get stuck, that you can view this between now and Friday and get yourself re-familiar with how to do some of these problems. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do just a couple of these. I'm not going to do every single one. That way you're able to see one of each problem here. So the first problem, it says if given points are graphed, you could create a line from them. Find the slope of the line given the points, and then give a slope that would have line that would be parallel and one that would be perpendicular. All right, so the first thing we need to do is find the slope. And so in order to find the slope, we need to use that formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so if I'm going to do that, remember I got to label my points here. This is x1, y1, this is x2, y2. And so again, I'm going to go ahead and use this formula on these points here. So what I'm going to end up with is 2 minus my y1, which is 3, over 6 minus 4. Okay, and then just do the math. 2 minus 3 is -1. 6 minus 4 is 2. So I have a slope of my original line, which is -1/2. Now, parallel slopes are the same. So the answer to this is -1/2, same thing. Perpendicular slopes are opposite reciprocals. So the opposite reciprocal of -1/2 is +2. Remember, you make the original opposite, so instead of being negative, it's now positive, and then the reciprocal means that we take that fraction and flip it around, so it's really 2 over 1. And we don't really write the over 1 part, remember, we just leave it with 2. So you do the same thing on question 2. All right, moving on here. Determine the following lines would be parallel or perpendicular to each other. All right, so again, we have to identify the slopes. In this one, the slope is -2. But if you look at this equation, we can't identify what the slope is yet, so we have to solve for y. So we'll solve for y. All right, so the first thing I need to do is subtract 4x from both sides. So there it is. And I got -8y is equal to -4x plus 8. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by -8, continuing solving for y. And so what that looks like is that's gone. I'm left with y is equal to, and now -4 over -8 reduces down to +1/2 x plus, and this is -1. So if I'm looking at the slopes, I got 1/2 and I got -2. Those are opposite reciprocals, so this is a pair of perpendicular lines. And that's how you would answer that question. You would do the same thing in question 4, and this one you have to solve for y as well. All right, moving on here. Write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to the given line and goes through the given point. All right, so I'm going to extend a little bit further down here. A little bit more, and move back up. All right, so it has to be perpendicular and goes through this point. So the first thing that I need to do is look at this and identify what the slope is. Well, I can't do that again, just like in the previous problem, so I have to solve for y first. So I'm going to subtract 4x minus 4x, and I'm going to get 8y is equal to -4x plus 16. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 8, continuing to solve for y. 8's are gone. Y is equal to, again, -1/2, because 4 over 8 reduces to 1/2, and I got the negative there, plus 2. All right, at this point, I forgot my x there. At this point, all I care about is the slope from that one. And I know my new line has to look like y equals blank x plus blank. And the new slope has to be perpendicular. All right, so from -1/2, my opposite reciprocal is +2. Now, I use the x and y here to solve the rest of the problem. I just plop them in where they're supposed to go, y for the y, x for the x, and then go ahead and put them in. So instead of y, I got 6 is equal to 2 times -14 for x, and then don't forget to put your plus b here so you don't get confused. So moving on, 6 is equal to -28 plus b, and then I just add 28 to both sides, plus 28. So I get 34 is equal to b, and that goes back up here. And now that problem is done. That's my final answer. All right, moving on here. Solve each system of equations by graphing. You have two that you have to do here. All right, this one is already in y equals mx plus b form with the slope and y-intercept. And this one, you have to take both of them and put in the y equals mx plus b form. Also in this one here, you also have to solve for y. So I'll do this one. Taking the top equation, my y-intercept is 3, so I'm going to go up to 3 and graph that. And then my slope is 4, so I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. And I'm going to go backwards 2, just so I can get more points. So down 1, 2, 3, 4, and then left. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I guess I'm kind of off the page here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then some about there. Okay. And then I got to take this one and solve for y. So minus 2x, and then I'm left with negative y is equal to negative 2x plus 1. If I divide everything by negative 1, that all that does is switches the signs again, so I got y is equal to 2x plus 1. Okay, so I'll go ahead and graph that. I didn't actually draw my line for the last one, but here it is, kind of something like that. Y-intercept here is positive 1. So there's my positive 1, and I go up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, and then I go backwards again, down 2, right 1 here. And actually, my y-intercept, my two lines intersect right at that point there. So my answer is negative 1, comma, negative 1. Okay. All right, you're going to do the second one in the same way here. All right, last two problems. Determine if the given point is a solution of the system of equations. So what this means is you're taking this and you're taking this x and this y and plugging them in for x and y here and going ahead and see if they're true. Again, you have to use both if the first one is true, and if you get to one of them that's false, then go ahead and say that the whole thing is not going to work. So this one here, negative 2 times my x value, which is 3, plus y, which is actually not the y that I'm going to write, negative 2 times 3, plus my y value is now 1, equals negative 5. So negative 2 times 3 is 6, negative 6 plus 1, that's equal to negative 5. Negative 5 equals negative 5. So that's true, so it works for that one. Now I got to test this one. So I'll go ahead and do it again. 3 times 3, because I'm plugging in my x for 3 here, plus 1 equals 10. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1. 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 equals 10. So now, because both of these work, and they're both true, then I can say that 3, 3 is a solution. All right. Last one, substitution. I'm going to go ahead and do the one on the right here. Remember, your first step is to pick an equation and solve for a variable. In this one, it's already done for you. If you look at question 10, you would have to pick one of these and solve for x or y. Okay, but this one we don't have to do that because it's already done for us. So what that means is I can take this and plug it right in for y. So I got 4x plus 12 times my y value is instead 6x plus 12. Now I finish it off, equals negative 8. So 4x plus 12 times 6 is, I got to do that inside here, 12 times 6, 6 times 2 is 12, that's 72, 6 times 1 is 2, and that's 72. So I got 72x plus 144 equals negative 8. So really I got 76x, if I combine these like terms, plus 144. Whoops. And so equals negative 8 there. And so now I have to subtract my 144, minus 144, minus 144. So I get 76x is equal to negative 152. And if I divide both sides by 76, I get, divided by 76, divided by 76, I get x is equal to negative 2. That's an equal sign. And now that I know that x is equal to negative 2, I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the top equation here. So here's step 3. Here's step 2. Didn't have to do step 1. I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the top equation because that's the easiest. I got y is equal to 6 times negative 2 plus 12. Y is equal to, and let's simplify that. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12 plus 12. And negative 12 plus 12 is 0 all day, every day, so I get y is equal to 0. And remember, your final answer has to be an ordered pair, so we get an ordered pair of negative 2 comma 0. And if you look at this, I should be able to plug this point into both of these equations in order to determine what's true or false, to make it sure that it works. 6 times negative 2 does give me negative 12. And negative 12 plus 12 is 0, and that's exactly what we got for y. So that works. All right, hopefully this helps you guys. Good luck on the quiz.